Sigma males are some of the hardest people to understand. They move differently, think differently, and live by a logic that most people simply can't grasp. To an outsider, their choices often seem confusing, even self-defeating. Why would someone turn down popularity, power, or attention? Why would anyone prefer to be alone when being social seems easier? These are the questions people ask, and the answers never seem to make sense, unless you understand how a Sigma male operates. Unlike others, Sigma males don't fit neatly into social roles. They don't chase status, yet they're often successful. They don't look for validation, yet people respect them. They appear calm on the outside, but inside they're constantly analyzing and adapting. They walk through life as if they're on their own timeline, detached from the chaos most people live in. This distance, this refusal to play by the usual rules, is what makes them both fascinating and misunderstood. To most, their behavior seems cold or arrogant. In truth, it's a mix of discipline, clarity, and self-protection. Sigma males understand that blending in usually means losing yourself. So they don't. They'd rather stand apart, not out of pride, but because solitude helps them stay aligned with who they really are. Their logic may look strange from the outside, but for them, it's the only thing that makes sense. This video breaks down 6 Sigma male traits that most people simply don't understand. Each one reveals how they think and why they live differently. By the end, you'll see that their way of life isn't about rebellion, it's about mastery. Trait number 1, preferring solitude even when company seems easier. Most people are wired for connection. They seek comfort in crowds, validation from friends, and safety in belonging. For the Sigma male, that same environment feels suffocating. He prefers solitude not because he dislikes people, but because he thrives in his own company. To the average person, that makes no sense. Why would anyone choose to be alone when there's an easier path surrounded by others? The answer is simple: silence brings focus. The Sigma male doesn't see solitude as loneliness. He sees it as space to think, to reset, and to grow. While others depend on social interaction for energy, he recharges by stepping away from it. In solitude, he can analyze his goals, process emotions, and plan his next moves without distraction. Most people misunderstand this as emotional coldness. They think the Sigma male avoids people because he's antisocial. In reality, it's a matter of balance. He understands that too much company can cloud judgment. Every conversation, every expectation pulls a bit of energy away. To stay centered, he chooses quiet. This preference also comes from experience. Sigma males often notice that many social groups are built on surface-level interactions, gossip, competition, or performance. They have no patience for that. They value depth, not quantity. If a conversation doesn't challenge them or feel real, they'd rather stay silent. Even in relationships, Sigma males guard their solitude carefully. They can love deeply, but they still need space to recharge. They don't disappear because they've lost interest. They step back to breathe. To someone who doesn't understand that rhythm, it feels distant. But to the Sigma, it's natural. What seems cold to others is clarity to him. He knows that peace comes from within, not from constant company. He'd rather have a few hours of silence than a room full of meaningless noise. That's why solitude isn't just a habit, it's part of his identity. And that's the first trait that confuses almost everyone who meets him. Trait number 2, acting like they don't need approval, yet caring deeply underneath. At first glance, Sigma males seem like they don't care what anyone thinks. They move through life without seeking attention or validation. They make bold decisions and never look back. To most people, that attitude seems impossible. How can someone truly not care about the opinions of others? The truth is more complex. Sigma males do care, but not in the way others do. They care about being respected, not liked. They value understanding, not approval. What they reject is the need for constant validation. To them, chasing approval is a trap. It ties your happiness to someone else's opinion. That's why they appear detached. They've learned to separate acknowledgement from dependence. Underneath that calm exterior, though, Sigma males still have emotions. They still feel pride when their work is appreciated or frustration when misunderstood. The difference is that they don't let those emotions control them. They process feedback privately instead of reacting publicly. To others, this restraint looks like indifference, but it's actually emotional intelligence. This balance between caring and not caring confuses people. Most individuals are either openly emotional or openly indifferent. Sigma males exist in the middle. They listen, absorb, and respond only when necessary. They can sit through criticism without arguing, not because they don't feel it, but because they value control more than reaction. This trait also appears in how they handle relationships. When a Sigma male connects with someone, that bond matters deeply. But he'll never display affection just to prove it. He shows care through consistency, not constant reassurance. That's why some people misread him as emotionally unavailable. The truth is, he simply expresses care in actions rather than words. To the Sigma male, needing approval is weakness, but giving respect is strength. He won't beg for validation, but he'll always recognize real effort and loyalty. That combination, quiet confidence mixed with hidden depth, makes him both admirable and confusing. People can't decide if he's detached or deeply emotional. The truth is he's both, and that's exactly what makes him different. Trait number 3, rejecting the social ladder while pursuing huge goals. One of the most confusing traits of a Sigma male is how he completely rejects the social ladder, yet still aims for massive personal success. To most people, that doesn't make sense. How can someone refuse to play the game of status but still end up winning at it? The answer lies in the Sigma male's relationship with power. He doesn't chase it, he builds it quietly. Normal people are often taught that success means moving up, earning recognition, promotions, influence or wealth that others can see. The Sigma male sees that structure for what it really is, a social illusion. It's a system built to control behavior, to make people depend on approval for progress. Sigma males reject that system because they understand it rewards conformity more than creativity. Yet despite rejecting it, they still achieve. How? By focusing on mastery, not position. The Sigma male measures success by self-development, not by titles or rankings. He doesn't care who notices his work. He cares about doing it well. That's why he often rises without trying. People end up recognizing his skill because results can't be ignored, even when silence surrounds them. This trait frustrates those who depend on hierarchy. The Sigma male won't flatter a boss, join an office clique, or compete for attention. But he'll outperform everyone quietly, then disappear when the applause begins. To him, validation ruins the purity of effort. Once work becomes about recognition, it loses its meaning. At the same time, his ambition remains intense. He sets massive goals, often higher than anyone around him. But the motivation doesn't come from competition. It comes from internal drive. He wants to see what he's capable of, not what others think of him. People call it arrogance, but it's really focus. The Sigma male plays a different game, one where growth matters more than status. That's why he can reject the ladder, but still climb higher than most, because while others chase attention, he chases mastery. Trait number 4, keeping their emotions hidden, but feeling everything intensely. If you've ever met a Sigma male, you might notice something strange. He rarely shows emotion, even in moments that would make most people break. He can stay calm under pressure, unbothered by drama, and unreadable in conflict. But here's what most don't realize. Beneath that calm exterior is a storm of emotion he just chooses not to show. Sigma males feel everything deeply. They experience disappointment, anger, passion, and empathy with the same intensity as anyone else, sometimes even more. The difference is that they process those feelings privately. They don't see value in putting emotions on display for others to interpret or judge. To them, emotions are tools, not performances. This hidden emotional depth often confuses people. They assume that if someone doesn't react, they don't care. That's not true for the Sigma male. He simply values control over expression. He believes that reacting emotionally gives others power over him. So instead of expressing, he reflects. He steps back, studies the situation, and responds only when it matters. This approach makes him reliable in chaos. When everyone else panics, he stays grounded. When others lash out, he stays quiet. That steadiness comes from his ability to manage emotions internally. It's not that he lacks feeling, it's that he refuses to be ruled by it. At the same time, this habit can make relationships difficult. People close to a Sigma male sometimes misinterpret his calmness as distance. They might think he's detached or uncaring, when in truth he's protecting his emotions. He doesn't share easily because once he does, it's genuine. Vulnerability for him is sacred, something earned, not given. This trait also feeds into his independence. Because he can regulate himself emotionally, he doesn't need external comfort to stay stable. That's why Sigma males rarely seek sympathy or vent to others. They solve their feelings the same way they solve problems, quietly, logically, and alone. To outsiders, this emotional discipline looks strange or robotic. But to the Sigma male, it's strength. Feeling deeply while remaining composed is one of his greatest skills, one that few people understand. Trait number 5, silent observation in a world of constant talking. In today's world, everyone wants to be heard. People post, debate, argue, and shout their opinions at every opportunity. The Sigma male doesn't. He prefers to stay silent and observe. To normal people, that looks odd, even suspicious. They wonder why he's so quiet, what he's thinking, or if he's judging them. But his silence has nothing to do with arrogance. It's strategy. Sigma males know that observation reveals more than conversation ever could. When you stay silent, you learn. You see how people behave, what they value, and how they treat others when no one's watching. Talking hides patterns. Silence exposes them. That's why Sigma males often notice things others miss. They see motives before they're spoken, and that awareness gives them power. Silence also gives them control. When you don't rush to fill the air with words, you control the pace of interaction. Others reveal themselves trying to break the silence. They talk, overshare, or try to impress, all while the Sigma listens, collecting information without revealing his own thoughts. This behavior unsettles people because they're used to verbal engagement as a sign of interest. When a Sigma male doesn't talk much, they assume he's bored or distant. But in truth, he's fully present, just not performing. His attention is focused, not noisy. This habit extends beyond conversations. Sigma males are observers in every area of life. They watch systems, patterns, and people before making moves. They rarely act impulsively because they believe that every detail tells a story. That's why they often make smart, precise decisions while others waste time reacting. Being silent in a loud world isn't easy. People pressure you to speak, share, and perform constantly. But the Sigma male resists that pressure because he knows silence builds strength. Words can be wasted, but observation always pays off. What looks like detachment is actually focus. He's not ignoring the world, he's studying it. And when he finally decides to speak or act, it's with precision and impact. That's what separates him from everyone else. Trait number 6, walking away. When others double down on effort. To most people, giving up is failure. When something doesn't work, they push harder, chase longer, and fight louder. The Sigma male sees it differently. When he realizes something no longer serves his growth or peace, he walks away, quietly, without drama, and without looking back. To normal people, that behavior looks cold or lazy. In truth, it's one of the purest signs of his discipline. Sigma males understand that not every battle deserves effort. They value energy as a resource, something that must be spent carefully. Instead of forcing situations to work, they recognize when to detach. This can apply to relationships, careers, arguments, or dreams that no longer fit their direction. Most people stay because they fear loss. The Sigma male leaves because he values time. This trait often shocks those around him. When others see him walk away from something they think is important, they call it giving up. But for the Sigma, walking away is clarity. It's a conscious decision to protect focus and dignity. He doesn't chase closure from others because he creates it for himself. He understands that sometimes peace is more valuable than victory. In relationships, this makes him hard to keep, but impossible to replace. If someone crosses his boundaries or disrupts his peace, he doesn't argue. He disappears. Not out of anger, but out of principle. To the Sigma male, silence after disrespect isn't punishment, it's self-respect. He knows that begging for understanding only wastes energy on people who don't value it. This ability to walk away also shows up in ambition. Sigma males don't cling to failed ideas or outdated goals. If something loses meaning, they pivot without hesitation. They'd rather start over than waste time forcing something that no longer aligns with who they are. It's not about quitting, it's about evolving. To the outside world, this approach makes no sense. Why not try harder? Why not fight longer? But to the Sigma male, knowing when to stop is just as powerful as knowing when to begin. He walks away not because he's weak, but because he understands that strength is wasted on things that don't matter. Sigma males don't fit into the patterns society expects. Their choices often seem backwards to those who live by conventional rules. They avoid crowds, stay silent, hide emotion, and detach when most people would cling tighter. Yet somehow those same behaviors give them power, control, and peace. The reason normal people can't understand Sigma males is because they operate on different priorities. Most live for approval, Sigmas live for authenticity. Most chase belonging, Sigmas chase clarity. They're not trying to be mysterious. They simply refuse to be controlled by the noise around them. The world rewards visibility, but Sigma males thrive in the shadows. They're not afraid to disappear because they know that real progress often happens where no one is watching. While others talk, they plan. While others fight for recognition, they quietly build something real. That's why people often describe them as unpredictable, because their motivations are internal, not external. These 6 traits that make no sense to most people actually form a complete system of self-mastery. Each one protects the Sigma male from the chaos of modern life. Solitude keeps him grounded. Emotional control keeps him calm. Silence sharpens his perception. Independence keeps him free. Detachment protects his energy. And walking away keeps his peace intact. To the outside world, that might look strange. But to the Sigma, it's the only way to live with integrity. His goal isn't to be liked, it's to be balanced. He'd rather be misunderstood and peaceful than accepted and restless. That's the Sigma paradox. What looks strange on the surface is actually a blueprint for inner freedom. Sigma males are often labeled mysterious, antisocial, or even arrogant. But beneath those assumptions lies something deeper, a quiet wisdom about how to survive in a loud world. Their traits don't come from pride, they come from awareness. They've learned that most chaos in life comes from overreaction, overexposure, and overdependence. So they strip all that away. What's left is simplicity, a life built on purpose, not noise. Their solitude isn't about running from people, it's about returning to themselves. Their silence isn't about avoiding conversation, it's about protecting truth. Their emotional control isn't coldness, it's strength. Everything that looks strange about them makes perfect sense when you understand their mindset. Clarity over comfort, truth over attention, peace over belonging. Sigma males remind us that independence doesn't mean isolation, it means self-direction. It's about knowing where you're going, even when no one else understands the path. That's why they stand apart without apology. They don't need to explain their choices, because their lives explain them. In a world full of noise, Sigma males are the quiet proof that you don't need to be seen to be powerful. You don't need to be understood to have purpose. And you don't need to follow the crowd to find success. What makes no sense to most people makes perfect sense to those who value freedom above all. The Sigma male lives by one truth. The less you depend on others to define you, the more clearly you see who you really are. That's why his life, though confusing to many, is a masterclass in self-control, independence, and quiet strength. He doesn't seek understanding. He just lives, and that's what makes him unstoppable.